Oh, hello, guys.
You are listening to WMNHLP, Manchester's radio, broadcasting at 95.3 megahertz frequency modulation from the top of 1000 Elm Street. Our studios are located at 1045 Elm Street and licensed to Manchester Public Television Service in Manchester, New Hampshire, USA. Contact us by email at WMNH953@gmail.com or through our website at WMNHradio.org.
Could be other people also. There's a lot of people out there.
I stand up here giving speeches for an hour and a half, many times without notes.
Auto sequence starts.
An anonymous, really an anonymous, gutless coward.
Hey everybody, welcome. It's Matt Connarton, Unleashed in the Afternoon. We are live on WMNH 95.3 FM, emanating from downtown Manchester, New Hampshire, streaming at WMNHradio.org. You can also watch on Channel 97 Comcast if you're in the Manchester area. And of course, we're on Facebook via Facebook Live on the Matt Connarton Unleashed Facebook page. Except I didn't set this so that I can see the chat. I was derelict in my duty. There we go. Let's see. I see Nicey already in the Facebook Live chat. Nicey, I don't know if you saw, but Kevin Schurman himself from the January Project, formerly Minus Chat, is going to be joining me later in the show to unveil some new music. But first, I assume this is him. Let's see. AJ, is that you?
That's me.
All right, we are joined live on the air by AJ Davis, who hosts a show online called Common Sense Radio and is also a very frequent participant in the Facebook live chat during the show. So, AJ, how are you today?
I am wonderful, Matt. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. Of course, it is September 11th, 2018 today, and it's, we as we talked earlier online, it's, 17 days since September 11th. It's not 17 days, 17 years, rather.
17 years.
Seems like 17 days almost in some ways. And I know you wanted to come on and talk about that a little bit. You know, I'll just say briefly, I didn't know what was happening on that day until after both planes had hit, because at the time, now I know I listened to some of your show earlier online on Spreaker, and you were talking about being I think you said you were 17 at the time. You were in high school, and I was I'm older than you are. I was already well out of school, but I remember at the time I had a job. I was working at a place that some people local to the area might remember, Strawberries. And we used to sell CDs and DVDs, and geez, at that time we might have even still had cassette tapes. But so I was working that day. I had the opening shift, and at that time I lived only a couple of blocks away, maybe 3 blocks away from where I worked. So as long as it was a nice day, it wasn't pouring rain or anything, I would just walk to work. So I hadn't. So I'd gotten up that morning. I'd gone to work. I hadn't turned on the radio. I hadn't seen any television. I went to work completely oblivious to what was happening. And it was, it would have been happening timeline-wise as I was going to work and getting the store ready to open. And we opened at 10. And then it was shortly after we opened, I got a call from my mother's fourth husband. She's kind of doing the Liz Taylor thing. She's on her fourth, although she's been with her fourth for a while. I guess this one stuck. But her husband, Terry, calls me from his job. He calls me at my job and says, hey, can you give your mom a call? She's freaking out right now. She thinks it's the end of the world, and she might find it reassuring to hear your voice. and which freaked me out because I had no idea what was going on. So when he uses that phrase, he says something like that, your mom thinks it's the end of the world. I'm like, oh my God, is it? I'm thinking, we got into a nuclear confrontation with the Russians and the missiles are in the air. I'm like, well, what do you mean? What's going on? So then he explained it to me, and I was like, oh, okay, well, that's terrible and shocking and oh my God, but it's not as bad as what, I had going on in my head when he used that phrase, end of the world. So, so I went and I grabbed a boom box off the shelf because we also sold boom boxes, and I plugged it in and, was listening to the radio, and nobody was coming into the store. Of course, under the circumstances, everyone was glued to radio and television. And I did call my mother, and she calmed down a bit. But, and it was very quiet in the store that day. No one was coming in because everyone was paying attention to what was going on. But that's kind of like, because people always say, do you remember where you were when 9/11 happened? Just like, previous generations, before you and I were born, but previous generations always talk about, do you remember where you were when JFK was shot? But now it's, you remember where you were when 9/11 happened. And so that's where I was oblivious, actually, until after both planes had hit. But I was listening to your show, AJ, and you, I was very interested, and I didn't get to listen to too much because I had to come to the station. But I'd like for you to talk about that, what it was like being in school, being in high school as all this is unfolding. And you even mentioned that some of your friends had parents who worked in the Pentagon and all that. So if you can go ahead and talk to us about that, I'd be very interested to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So I grew up out in a small town called Manassas, Virginia, which is about 45 minutes, and now with all the construction, probably an hour and a half south of D.C. And I just remember being a junior in high school, going to school, thinking nothing of it. It's about between 8:30 and 10 o'clock. I don't remember the time frame. They say as it gets further away, your memory kind of fades away as it goes with age.
Right.
Like your hairline, too. Well, my hairline, at least. I don't know about yours.
Oh, mine, too. Yeah.
So anyways, I just remember immediately our principal and people coming over to the announcement and telling us what happened and turned on your TV. So we turned on the news. We're starting to watch. The first plane had already hit the South Tower, and we watched live on television the second plane hit the North Tower.
Yeah.
I just remember that gut feeling. I remember that's one impact. That's one memory that has impacted my entire life that I will never forget. Sometimes when I think of 9/11 on days that are not 9/11, it's a reality. It's a gut check to me.
Yeah.
And like I said, you can find on IPM Nation, you can find on Chat Slash, you can find it all over. Selfless plug, of course.
Yes.
And like I said, we had people, some of my closest friends' parents worked at the Pentagon.
Yeah.
And they ended up they didn't know what was going on. They're freaking out because the news, okay, something happened to the Pentagon. We don't know if a plane crashed, a missile, we don't know what happened. Something has had to crash into the Pentagon. So they set up in our school library a actual center for people to come in, try and get in contact with their parents, try and find out what's going on, and they had counselors set up for them.
Yeah.
And I wish I would have dove more into it with those friends. Hey, what happened? Figure out what was going on. But I was just a little 17-year-old punk at the time that didn't think anything in the world. And I think as I've gotten older, I've had more of respect for it. Because, like grief, we all as a nation are going through grief from 2001, and we're 17 years into a war, I mean, we all have different levels of grief, and I think I've become a better man thinking deeply and kind of not jumping, have a knee-jerk reaction to everything.
Oh, excuse me. Still getting over this cold. Yeah, no, I think that's a really great insight, and it's probably, thinking about it in that way has probably helped you to be, a more empathetic person and whatnot. So you can kind of draw out of that something positive. By the way, hello to Peter White from the Morning Show who joins us in the Facebook live chat. So did it turn out? Did you know? I mean, I almost hate to ask this, but did it turn out that any of the kids that you knew who had parents working in the Pentagon, were any of them killed, or did we even did we even lose anybody in the Pentagon?
Thankfully, no. That was kind of. I was having a conversation with a friend today about that, and he's a conspiracy theorist, and that's fine. It takes a village.
Yep.
He thinks it was completely made up, and there's no video of that, and it kind of made me think, like,
Yeah.
Did I know anyone that really? It made me really think really hard about that, and from my memory, I do not remember anyone that has got hurt there.
Yeah.
All the friends that I remember said their parents were on the other side of the Pentagon.
Right.
So
right.
I mean, we're thankful. Less people that had died. Have you ever been around the Pentagon before, Matt?
I have not. I've been to. I mean, the closest I've been to Washington D.C., but the Pentagon is at where. What city in Virginia is the Pentagon actually in? Because it's not in D.C., right? It's in.
It's right outside, right by Arlington National Cemetery.
Okay. Yeah, I've never been to the Pentagon.
I mean, experience something on it, let me find out. But anyways, I remember driving around the Pentagon for the first time in my life, and that was when I was an older adult. I had my first child. The address is D.C. I just Googled it real quick. But yeah, it says by the across the Potomac River. So, no, you're right. No, located in Arlington County, Virginia. So
okay.
Yeah, I was correct. So I just remember it was probably between 2006, 2007 was the first time in my life I drove around the Pentagon, and I look at it, and it's a massive, like, when you're thinking of military force, that's what you're thinking of whenever you see that.
Yeah.
So to hit that and destroy some of that, it had to be something. I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What are your thoughts on the whole Pentagon thing?
Yeah. By the way,
I hate to say that the government is doing anything against us. I don't believe that.
I don't either. John Hopwood, who's, of course, frequently on the show with me, he texted me and said that apparently we did lose people in the Pentagon. He said a person who has been on the show lost a friend there. Yeah, because you don't really hear too much about casualties with the Pentagon because, like you were saying, that's what I've always heard and read, too, that people were like on the in other parts of that massive complex, and it's got multiple, I think they call it, like, it's got the outer ring, and then it's a very, very fortified, well-fortified building. Yeah, I don't believe the conspiracy theories either. I mean, the one that I always hear about the Pentagon specifically is that it was actually a missile that was fired into it, and that's why there's not sufficient wreckage left behind and whatnot. But the problem with that is, what do you do about the the thousands of people who saw the plane hit, and you can't look. I always say our government couldn't even keep Watergate a secret. They couldn't keep, you know what I mean? I mean, come on, they couldn't keep what Bill Clinton did with an intern in the Oval Office a secret. Yet somehow there's tens of thousands or maybe hundreds of thousands of people that it would take to all be cooperating in orchestrating 9/11 and all the various components of it. And which is not to say that there aren't things about it that don't quite add up or make sense. There are things that I think to this day have not been fully explained, but my theory about that has always been, I do think there are aspects of what happened on 9/11 that the government does try to keep from us or has tried to keep from us because my theory is there are people who just don't want us to know the full extent, the full breadth of how badly they failed us on that day in terms of protecting the United States. So there are things that they, there's plenty that's redacted in the, what's the report? Is it the Warren Commission? Or am I thinking of JFK?
The 9/11 Commission.
I'm thinking of JFK, the Warren Commission. Yeah, I'm getting my conspiracies confused. But, yeah, so I don't, personally, I don't buy it. And it doesn't sound like you do either.
And it's funny, Matt, because and I don't identify as a Republican, Democrat, Independent. I just identify as an American.
Yeah.
People on the left and on the right fight about this for so many years. You know, Bush is the mastermind behind 9/11. He's evil. But then he's dumber than a box of rocks. So which one is it? You know, it makes me go, oh, I want to pull my hair out. You know, and I get onto social media because it's just the thing now. And I see people burn down the towers. I'm just like, can we get one day of not politics? Can we get one day where we can just sit here as a nation with, you know, and reflect on the greatness of the New York Fire Department, the greatness of the New York Police Department, where men were running into the building as buildings were collapsing and people jumping out of the building. Is that too much to ask for?
Well, I can tell you it is too much up here in New Hampshire because we have an election today. So
really?
So it's very political. We have our primaries happening today. So no, but I totally get what you mean, and I agree with what you said. You know, about you know, Bush and you know, on one hand, people talk about him like he's, you know, like he's this incompetent imbecile, but at the same time, he's somehow the mastermind of 9/11. No, I completely agree with you, and no, I think they just epically failed us. And I think there's other aspects of it too. See, now I'm going to sound like a conspiracy theorist saying this stuff, even though I don't believe there's a massive conspiracy. But I mean, you know, when you look at our actions after 9/11, you know, invading Afghanistan and then eventually trying to somehow tie that in with Iraq and you know, invading Iraq and, you know, and these people had nothing to do with anything. I mean, we were most of the hijackers were recruited from the Wahhabi tribe in Saudi Arabia. So, you know, really, in theory, if you want to punish somebody for 9/11, Saudi Arabia would be the country to punish. But obviously we can't do that for a myriad of geopolitical reasons and economic reasons. And it's not a conspiracy to say that the Bush family, in particular, very tight with the Saudis. Prince Bandar of Saudi Arabia, they used to call him Bandar Bush. They considered him a member of the Bush family. They were so tight with him. You know, and they were all allowed to leave the country after 9/11 happened, those Saudis that were here in the U.S., and none of this is in dispute that I'm aware of. So I do think, like I said, do I think it was an inside job and there's a conspiracy? No. But I do think there's a lot to it that if we really confront it head on, there are a lot of questions to be asked. And you know, and some of these conspiracy theorists, you know, I mean, some of them get pretty out there, but I think they're correct to ask the questions that they ask. They also get into the stuff about the World Trade Center, the towers, the thermodynamics of it, and all that, and the, you know, how fast could the towers really fall and all that, all of which is completely over my head anyway, because I'm bad at science. So when somebody starts talking to me about thermodynamics and how fast can steel melt and all this kind of stuff, I'm just like, my eyes glaze over. I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. All I know is Popular Mechanics debunked that, and I'm going to believe them, and that's it. You know, because I have no clue about any of that, but no. But
yeah,
that's...
I think one of the important things that people should question their government. I think one thing they should also do is ask questions that, you know, are outside the box. People are thinking, okay, well, what about this? Can we look at this? And people shouldn't get so we're so addicted to outrage right now. That's
the
thing I've noticed. Outrage is what people are enjoying. Is what, you know, how many clicks, how many likes can I get on Facebook or Twitter, or how many views can I get on this Facebook? And I'm guilty of it too. We all are. You know, we live in a nation that's clickbait. Let's try it. That's what I'm trying to get my show to pull away from. Is I want to cover stories that are not, you know, in the mainstream or not as mainstream as others, because people are sick and tired. Like, how many people are sick and tired of this Nike story? You know,
right?
On and on and on again. Whether you agree with Nike or not, they're a private corporation. they can do whatever they want.
Absolutely.
I'm done talking about that. I'm not even going to bring it up anymore.
Yeah.
You know, how many people are talking about NFL players kneeling for the anthem? 2 of them over the weekend. You know what? I'm watching football, and I don't care anymore. Ooh, boycott, hashtag boycott the NFL. No. I love football. I love college football. I love high school football. I love NFL football.
Yeah.
I love fantasy football. I'm not playing that BS anymore. And I myself, I fell victim to that stuff.
Did you? Yeah.
Addicted to outrage. That's what everyone is addicted to.
Yes. No, I think it's true. I think outrage sells. And it's too bad because people kind of, I talk about this a lot. You've probably heard me talk about it. People wind up hurting their own cause very often by getting outraged about things that aren't worth getting outraged about. And I'll give you an example that just happened today. So there's people online who are outraged at Trump because apparently he got off the plane or the helicopter, I forget, to go speak at a 9/11 event, and he kind of did like a fist pump in the air, and which to me is like pretty innocuous, right? There's people, I don't know if you saw this, there's people online, there's people in the media who are outraged at Trump doing a fist pump. How can you do a fist pump when we're commemorating such a tragic moment in our history? Now, to me, I see him doing a fist pump, and it's like, okay, he's like, yeah, go America. You know, we overcame the tragedy of 9/11 or whatever meaning you want. I mean, it's a fist pump. But, you know, you can just not attach any meaning to it, right? But, of course, people automatically do. But that's like, if I stop to think about it, that's the meaning I would apply to it. But of course, people are outraged at Trump over this. And the problem, the deeper problem to me, AJ, which you brought up, is by being outraged at Trump over something so innocuous, like, to me, I think there are plenty of things about Trump that you can be legitimately outraged over. But every time people insist on getting outraged over something so minor and innocuous, they just damage and degrade their own credibility, and they don't realize it. And so it becomes like the little boy that cries wolf, and that's why I think so many people who are so pro-Trump, just don't even want to hear it anymore. And ultimately it benefits Trump, right? Because
absolutely.
Yeah, it just gives him another thing. Oh, look at what the media is on me about now, and this is silly. And in the example that I just gave, he's right to say that. So it's very frustrating to me. By the way, John Hopwood has joined us here in the studio. He's saluting, but yeah, no, people are very much addicted to outrage, and but it does sell. It does get clicks online. There's no doubt about it.
It is. It's the thing that really gets me is, did you see Ben Sass's statement over the weekend about, if you're Democrats, you're against Trump. If you're Republicans, you're for Trump, and no matter what, and if you're against Trump, you're the enemy. I'm just paraphrasing that. And he wakes up every morning considering leaving the GOP. I think if you take a step back and you think, and if you just don't think any party, but you think almost every American thinks, I want to leave social media. I want to leave politics. I just want to get on there and see my friends' family's pictures. I want to, so-and-so's at Chick-fil-A having a milkshake, and then they're heading to the youth soccer game for the weekend. I think, at least myself, I'm sick of politics. People I talk to, I work in a school, and I talk with so many different people on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
There's nobody that committed to the cause, except for people that are Trumpers and that are people anti-Trumpers. I'm just tired of it. And a lot of I really don't see it. I'm not sure what you're seeing up there in New Hampshire.
Well, people here, I mean, this is such a kind of a politically charged state and very polarized, but
only Washington is more that I've seen.
Yeah, I mean, we have the first in the nation primary, so and people here take a lot of pride in that, obviously, and we have a very large, over 400 people in our state legislature. It's very much a citizen legislature. It's either, depending on who you ask, it's either the third or fourth largest elected legislative body in the world. So this is a very political in the English-speaking world. So this is a very this is a very
well, that's not for long.
This is a very political place, and but to me, I mean, I find politics addictive the same way some people do outrage. That's why I can do a show like this 5 days a week, and I really kind of when people tell me they're turned off by it because they they don't like what's going on, or they don't like how toxic it gets, or whatever. I always tell people, you know what I do? I just embrace the horror. You just gotta lean into it, put your arms around it, and embrace the horror. Embrace the horror,
so funny
AJ.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I say I get so sick of the politics, but then I walk out into my living room and I see my 10-year-old. I see my almost 9-year-old. I see my 4-year-old. And I just go, I gotta keep fighting the good fight, Right. I've been in contact with one of the state legislatures, because I'm based out of Oregon. You can imagine it's a pretty progressive state, and it's probably just as political as New Hampshire. Probably not as much, but
I've lived
pretty
in
close.
Oregon.
I mean, they are committed here.
Yeah.
Like, political-wise, they are committed. Like, the legislature wants to tax you to death. The legislature wants to tell you everything you need to do in your life. And I have one legislature that I've become friends with that she is fighting them head on like you would not believe. I mean, there's so much going on and it's inspiring, but then it's tiring as well.
Of course, yeah. So it sounds like, AJ, so are you coming from the perspective that our elected lawgivers and overlords don't necessarily always know what's best for us?
I know it's hard to say, but 100%.
Yeah.
And it's funny, this state legislature, and I won't turn her name on, but she, no matter what, she always tries to get stuff taken to the ballot for the voters to make the decision.
Oh, okay.
And that's admirable to me. I look at it and I go, okay, I don't even know what her or their opinion, because there's usually a group of people that that they caucus with that are actually really all about the voters. The voters should be making the decision.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I think that's how it should be. It shouldn't be up to some bureaucrats that are sitting down at the Capitol, going to the best steakhouse in town for lunch and on the public's dime, because it's happening.
Of course.
Well, that's hyperbole.
Well, but it is happening. I mean, he's not wrong.
Yeah, but that's not exactly how law is done. You're talking about you're not political, but you've obviously got an ideology. This is a libertarian.
Oh, he has he hosts a show online,
a libertarian, so
Yeah,
you're
my
into politics,
ideology
baby.
is called freedom. That's exactly what I want. Freedom for all, and I don't want anyone butting their nose into government telling me what to do every aspect of my life.
So you don't believe in the 8-hour day or Social Security or any of that, right? If you were to be,
I'm not
if you were to work in a factory for the rest of your life, like in China, but that's the government butting in.
Let him answer you.
It's the government butting in, isn't it?
Go ahead, AJ. You can go ahead and answer what. Libertarianism often will trigger John.
Well, no, but it's just you're talking about.
I think what I could do with Social Security, and I'm 34 years old. I think I could do a better job saving for my retirement.
You could, huh?
I think the government can.
So
in the
if
state of
you
Oregon,
got wiped
the
out,
public employees' retirement system is about $4 billion in the red, and that might be a conservative number. So yeah, I think I could do a better job.
You could in an unregulated market
than the government can.
So if you got robbed by some hustler like a Bernie Madoff or blowing out in a mortgage scandal and everything gets wiped up, you'd be fine with that, right?
Well, absolutely.
Because you have you are like a billionaire or something. You can manipulate things just for yourself, right?
I don't think AJ's a billionaire. Are you a billionaire, AJ?
But you're talking.
Can I borrow
about,
some money?
When I tell
no comment. I'm not going to say anything right now.
But when you're talking about libertarianism, I always find this thing. It's like you live in a regulated environment and are benefiting from regulations, either stock market, banking, this or that. Look at American history, It's like the Rand Paul people. Let's go back to the gold standard. Right. And the Great Depression was originally the Great Depression of the 1890s, but the one in the 30s was so much worse, they borrowed it. You continually had this cycle of depressions where people were wiped out, their entire savings were wiped out. That's part of American history. You can go right back to the founding of the Republic and Shays' Rebellion and all that, when people get their money, stolen by bankers. The whole thing, Jackson represented the reaction against the Federalists and the plutocrats who, this is our country, and you can go take a flying leap at a rolling donut that we own. So it's just the thing about talking about, you live in a very liberal state with a lot of benefits and stuff. But one thing, you have propositions like California, right, in Oregon, when you're talking about putting stuff on the ballot.
Referendum.
Similar to that. I don't
referendum
think they're called
proposition.
propositions.
But it's a referendum.
They call them measures.
And that comes out of
Measures.
the progressive movement of the late 19th century and early 20th century, that, the West was a hotbed of socialism, in fact. Because look at the Social Credit Party. That lasted in Saskatchewan, which is Western, Midwest type of state, into the 21st century. And, so all the things you're talking about, that's a reaction of farmers against the railroads, big agriculture. Because there's a thing about big business. It can own a legislature and squeeze you by the short hairs till there's nothing left. But I got to go check something upstairs. I thought you were talking about 9/11.
Oh, yes, we were. What's odd about New Hampshire, in a way, is that, so on the one hand, we have this giant citizen legislature of over 400 people, and yet we don't do anything by referendum in this state. I think there is a mechanism by which a state legislator or maybe a citizen can initiate a referendum, but it's either too cumbersome or it's just never used, or maybe there's a general attitude that that because we have a citizen legislature, we don't need referendum. But for example, here in New Hampshire, we still, and it's kind of embarrassing to some of us, we still don't have legalized. We're still not full legal on cannabis, even though we're surrounded by states that are, and soon cannabis will be as well. But
well, it should go to the voters if the voters believe. I'm completely for state rights.
yeah,
I'm completely against the federalism, and I think it should go to the voters. I mean, should we be legalizing heroin? I think that's kind of a stretch. But cannabis, I really, to me, I think some of it help. It absolutely, medically wise, it does help people. I'm just
absolutely,
and it's my choice not to go and smoke. It's personal responsibility is one of the things that I support.
Right,
big time.
Yeah, no, I'm absolutely with you. Fred Bonig from the dailyripple.org, he's in the Facebook live chat. He said, John is 100% right, and for me to agree 100%, it's saying something. Also, hello to Chris Rose in the Facebook live chat. But we'll kind of circle back a little bit. So as far as, because we were talking about 9/11, AJ, I mean, do you kind of do anything to commemorate it and reflect, or do you just, I mean, obviously you have the show, that's what you dedicated this week's edition to Common Sense Radio to. Do you do anything else? Like, do you talk, you mentioned you have children who obviously, I mean, they weren't even alive yet when this happened, which is got to be kind of stunning to think about in a way. Like, it's like, wow, somebody could be 16 years old and not have even been born yet when 9/11 occurred. It's kind of remarkable in that way. I mean, what do you do, or do you just do the show and that's kind of your way of dealing with it?
That's kind of my way of dealing with it. Is I try to focus my show each year on 9/11 and kind of what we do as a family is we, like this morning, the kids and I and my wife, we talked about, like, this is what happened, and they just kind of look at us, my son is 10, my daughter's almost 9, and my 4-year-old's just like, okay, give me the toys. But yeah, they don't really, I don't think they grasp it. Even looking at the videos, I don't think you can grasp what happened or that feeling on 9/11. I mean, even 17 years later, I still get that gut feeling after looking at the videos and looking at people's commentary.
Yeah, I actually today I ended up I almost couldn't help it. I just on YouTube I pulled up some video of live footage, how the media was reacting to it. What struck me is, and I'd forgotten about this, just how, and it's their job, so I get it, but it's weird in a way just how calm all these talking heads on television were as they're watching in real time this happening, and and trying to make sense of it, and of course I also couldn't help but watch the video of because to this day it doesn't quite make sense to me.
What doesn't make sense?
The video of you've got Trump sitting there reading My Pet Goat with those kids, and
Bush.
And what did I say?
You said Trump.
Oh, yeah, Bush.
You're doing a Hopwood.
God only knows how Trump would have reacted. Yeah, I'm sorry. You've got Bush sitting there. Bush sitting there reading My Pet Goat and with those kids. And Andy Card comes in and tells him, that the country is under attack. And Bush does not leap up right away. And there's these explanations that have been given about how, well, we didn't want to alarm the children or this and that. And it's like, it's so weird. To this day, I cannot accept that.
Well,
it's
there's a
very
whole
strange to me.
But there's a whole structure to handle the situation.
Yeah, but I would think if the president of the United States is told the country is under attack, at that point the president, I know we don't want to alarm the kids, so maybe the president gets up and says, oh, hey, sorry, kids, I've got some presidential business to attend to. I gotta go, and then maybe leaves the room. Instead, he sits there. Very strange to me.
When our planes attacked Libya in the early morning hours of what would be Washington, D.C.
Yeah,
time,
Reagan went back to bed, right?
Didn't go back to bed. They never bothered to wake him up.
Oh, okay.
What would be the point? He's non-compass mentis.
But I'm talking
anyways.
about.
He's
I'm
just
talking
a
about.
figurehead.
Yeah, I'm talking about our country being under attack.
Do you think Bush was anything but somebody they put out there because they didn't have anybody? Because they didn't want John McCain as president because they rigged like the New York primary.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
Anyway, it's always been kind of stunning to me.
It's what the person is. This isn't Lyndon Johnson, going to jump in there or FDR.
Yeah.
This is
to me it's strange. I've never understood it. What do you think about that, AJ?
I think it's easy for us on the outside to judge that situation.
Yeah. I think he froze.
I understand the point where they don't want to upset the children because he's on live television. Maybe the advisors. I don't know how I would handle it. I mean, I've never, none of us has ever been in that situation.
Who's the secretary?
And I don't think it's fair to him to honestly to say, well, he should have jumped up, he should have done this. But I do find it kind of strange and kind of odd that no emotions. But also, I mean, he's the commander in chief. He's got everything on his shoulders, man. So I don't think it's fair to him for us to judge on the outside of what it's like.
Yeah, no.
But George Bush didn't have the burden of office. In fact, a few days before, the Wall Street Journal wrote a scathing editorial, like he's out fishing, that he had set a record for days on vacation at the time. And
I didn't know that.
And as I've told you, in Toronto, at the end of August, or was it the end of July, they had arrested what they called the number 2 operative in North America for Al-Qaeda.
Yeah.
And Conrad Black, who was the proprietor of the National Press, which is one of the 3 dailies, who hated Jean Chitran, the prime minister, for many reasons, was continually pounding Chitran and the government for that, because there was the prediction there was going to be a major terrorist strike in North America before the end of the year, and he was doing nothing about it. And then it happened. So when 9/11 happened, I wasn't surprised, because they had been predicting it in the Canadian press. And also, you're talking about this, when I was in Germany and all that, there were terrorism incidents all the time.
Yeah.
not
Osama
quite
bin
as
Laden had
spectacular.
said he wanted to do it.
What's that, AJ?
Osama bin Laden had said he wanted to blow up the World Trade Centers years ago.
Oh,
They
absolutely.
tried to. Well, it was the Saudi sheikh, the one that was blind in one eye, that tried to blow up in '93.
Oh, the blind sheikh.
And
yeah.
his followers.
Yep.
The mosque was on Atlantic Ave in Brooklyn, and there was always 2 police cruisers on either side of the street. Because I know somebody that lived near there, and they were always watching them. And one of Dave Colapinto's clients, Fred Whitehurst, who revealed the corruption at the FBI lab, which also included the bombing at the Twin Towers, as we called them, in '93.
Well, AJ.
So this was, yes, and
Yeah.
also, AJ, if you know, that was a scenario that had already been played out in combat scenarios, like getting ready for terrorism. Because the people that say, oh, this couldn't have happened, they had to put a nuclear bomb or they had to rig these incredibly huge buildings. Talk
Right,
about
the conspiracy.
Pentagon
Yeah,
being
we
a
were
big
talking
one.
about that earlier, the
You know,
conspiracy theories.
It
Yeah.
all makes sense from a physics point of view. You take loaded planes with jet fuel, put them exactly where they're going to go, and the burning
Yeah, of
fuel
course.
melts the structural steel, and then as the force starts coming down, you had the equivalent of something like half the size of the Hiroshima bomb. you
Right,
know?
right.
And it
Yeah.
makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Well,
But,
AJ's got to leave us. He's got to get going. So.
Should come back.
Oh yeah. I'd like to maybe make. I mean, he's got a busy schedule, but I'd like to maybe make this a regular segment with AJ. We can talk about that online. But
yeah, that'd be cool.
But AJ, before you go, please give your show, Common Sense Radio, a quick plug.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, John. Enjoyed this. I love to talk with. I like to engage with people with different opinions.
And you live in
100%,
Oregon.
That's
Be
what I'm
happy.
living for now. I thrive on that.
Yeah.
Because I want to hear someone else's opinion because I'm not always right. I can't. I mean, this is what I believe, but it doesn't mean I'm always right. So, anyways, you can find my show. You can find it on itmnation.com. You can also find me on lanterns.buzz. You can find me on all the, Castbox, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud. Just type in Common Sense Radio, and I'd appreciate the airtime. Gentlemen, have a good rest of your day.
Absolutely.
And remember, it's a gift to live in the Beaver State. You live in Oregon. It's not,
That's
you could live in a
It's
lot
beautiful
worse
out here.
place. It is beautiful. And there's plenty
I
of
say it's always
like-minded
beautiful
people.
except for the politics.
Well, politics anywhere sucks.
All right, AJ Davis, thank you so much, my friend. We'll talk to you again soon.
Hey, thanks a bunch, guys. God bless you.
You got it. Bye-bye. All right, AJ Davis from Common Sense Radio leaves us. That opens up a line for you, 603-250-6007, 603-250-6007. And in the second hour, Kevin Schurman from the band The January Project will be joining us, and we've got a world premiere, some new music to play on the show. I look forward to Kevin years ago was in a band that I used to manage called Minus Chad, and they were amazing, and the new band is
this
amazing.
really a real band?
Yes, this is a real band. This isn't one of my.
One of the.
This isn't one of my made-up bands from high school. No,
is he going to be here live?
He's going to be here live.
Cool.
I don't think he's coming in to play. I think he's just bringing his CD. I'm going
Hey.
to pop it in, and we'll hear a couple tunes.
There's a new show upstairs, and they're talking about wrestling.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What's it called? Do you know?
Something about pop culture.
Do you know
But,
who's?
I don't know, but I should go up and corral them. They can a couple of minutes about wrestling will make you happy.
Yeah, is it hosted by Eric Gagnon? He's a big
Wrestling.
guy.
Let me go see.
He's a big wrestling fan. All right, John's on the case. He's going to see what's going on up there at Channel 23. A new wrestling show. Very intriguing. Hello to Christian Cunard, who joins us in the Facebook live chat. Of course, you're listening to Matt Connarton, Unleashed in the Afternoon. We are live on WMNH 95.3 FM, emanating from glorious downtown Manchester, New Hampshire. It's getting a little humid. It's getting a little sticky out there. It's supposed to be back into the high 80s this week. So very unseasonably warm. But remember, let your heart not be troubled. You, those of you who are concerned about climate change. Climate change is not real. And how do I know? because politicians who get a lot of campaign donations from big oil, big energy, coal and whatnot, they tell us it's not real and it's all a hoax. So why would they lie? So obviously, I mean, Trump tells us it's a hoax, right? And, of course, he would never deceive us in any way.
I stand up here giving speeches for an hour and a half, many times without notes.
It is impressive. He's a very, very impressive man.
An anonymous, really an anonymous, gutless coward.
He's got to adjust those dentures, though, before he tries to say the word anonymous, that's for sure. By the way, just to remind everybody who locally here in the Manchester area, of course, the polls are still open. I went and voted earlier. I'm not going to tell you who I might tell you some of the people I voted for. I did vote for Heidi Hamer, who's running for state rep because she is, this isn't the reason I voted for her, but she is a frequent listener. She might be listening right now. Hello, Heidi. And, of course, she opines very often in the Facebook live chat. So I did give Heidi my vote, my coveted vote, and I'm mentioning her now, too. So she's almost assured to win. She's getting the Matt Connarton Unleashed in the Afternoon bump right here. So congratulations in advance, Heidi, and you're welcome. I did also vote for Elizabeth Ropp for Register of Probate, whatever that is. And I have a vague idea of what that is. But anyway, Elizabeth has been on the show many times. She's also known as the AccuPunk. And kudos to her. And again, she's getting the Matt Connarton Unleashed in the Afternoon bump. So congratulations in advance to you, Elizabeth Ropp. And you also are very welcome. So I hope she'll still come on the show. I hope when she's Register of Probate, she's not going to try to big league me and think she's just too big for the program. Listen, I know that in some parts of the country, by the way, Hurricane Florence. I almost said Hurricane Irene. That probably goes back decades, Hurricane Irene. Hurricane Florence is on the move, causing all kinds of havoc. And, again, some scientists would say it's because of climate change that we have all these terrible hurricanes. But like I said, remember, politicians have assured all of us that it's all a hoax. So let your hearts not be troubled about it. But I have additional good news. I have good news specifically about Hurricane Florence. Let your heart not be troubled about that either. Because Pat Robertson, who is, of course, a man of God, Pat Robertson has established a shield of protection against Hurricane Florence. This is stunning news, my friends. This is quite wonderful. A shield of protection. Do not worry. Here, let's, there's audio and video. Of course, this is a radio show. You'll just hear the audio of Reverend Robertson establishing a shield of protection against Hurricane Florence. Now, of course, up here where we are in the Northeast, by the time these hurricanes get up here, there's just a lot of rain. But still, isn't it nice to think that we can all take part together in a shield of protection? Now, some of you will listen to this with some cynicism and skepticism, I know, but I like the idea of a shield of protection. I think it's wonderful. And so I would invite you to listen to this with me. As I always say on the show when we listen to audio of crazy people talking, let's listen not only with open minds, but with open hearts. I think it's important. So here we go. This is Pat Robertson establishing a shield of protection. And God bless, pun fully intended, the wonderful work that he does for us.
Hurricane, veers off and goes up into the Atlantic. It'll be harmless. No lives will be lost. No property will be damaged. What could be a multi-billion-dollar property damage will be averted. And I just believe you and I together. The Bible says, where two of you agree on earth as touching anything that they will ask, it'll be done for them by my Father which is in heaven. Now, this is the same Jesus who commanded the wind and the waves when he was out on the Sea of Galilee. He said, peace, be still. And they said, what manner of man is this? The wind and the waves obey him. They will obey our voice if we are together with one accord. Now, together, I'm asking all of us to believe God. I don't want that thing to come in. I don't want it to hurt Region. I don't want it to hurt CBN. I don't want it to tear up these beautiful campus. I don't want to tear these trees down. I don't want to see any damage. I don't want a bunch of glass flowing. and I don't want all over this area that's counting on us to pray for them. So I'm going to ask you right now, put your hand out toward the Atlantic, wherever it is, and let's speak a word right now in the name of Jesus.
Now, this is the important part. This is where when I was a kid and I'd go to Catholic school, I was raised in a Catholic home. This is the part where one might say, let us pray.
Jesus. In the name of Jesus, you Hurricane Florence, we speak to you in the name of Jesus, and we command the storm to cease its forward motion and go harmlessly into the Atlantic. Go up north, away from land, and veer off in the name of Jesus. We declare in the name of the Lord that you shall go no farther, you shall do no damage in this area.
Well, I think that's enough. I think Reverend Robertson has it covered from here. My friends, John Hopwood, we have a shield of protection against Hurricane Florence. Please don't worry. What's that?
I don't worry about hurricanes or terrorism.
Oh, my goodness. What do you worry about? My goodness.
I worry about the lack of love, not necessarily in the world at large, but in my world.
Are you suffering from a lack of love? I still think we should do that game show. We could call it Date John Hopwood.
We already did that.
Let's give you away live on the air.
We tried to twice.
If only you had won that last... You know what we need to do is maybe you could run for mayor of Africa, and then once you're mayor of
I can't go to
of an
Africa.
entire... Why not?
Because of what happened to me. I would be... I'm vulnerable.
Oh, my goodness. Well, all right.
When you've been hit with a lot of radiation...
Did you vote?
Vulnerable. There are certain things.
Did you vote today?
Yes, I did, and I decided, I voted for Chris Pappas.
Did you vote for Heidi Hamer?
Yeah.
Good. I did as well. And as I said, you were out of the room. I said, Heidi, you're getting the Matt Connarton Unleashed in the Afternoon bump. Congratulations in advance, and you're welcome.
Well, it's a little late, isn't it?
What do you mean? It's
you
election
should have
day.
said yesterday.
I did, didn't I? Oh, maybe I forgot. Well, better late than never, I say.
Yeah, I was. Somebody asked me to go hold a sign outside at Ward 10. In fact, it was the putative sheriff of Amoskeag, but then he didn't show up, or at least he didn't call me, and so I came here when I was hearing all this misinformation about 9/11 coming from your Yeti-like yap.
Misinformation? What did I say about 9/11 that was wrong?
I don't know, but most of what you say.
What do you mean you don't know?
Most of what you say, Yeti, rubs me the wrong way.
I am an award-winning broadcast journalist. None of that is true.
Bill Berry must be over at Ward 10 because the sun just came out.
Well, the sun always sunny in Ward 10. So let's see. There's actually an article up on Reuters mentioning the primary. No, it's Reuters. Reuters would be Rooters, not Reuters. New Hampshire Swing District, a fresh test for women's rise in the U.S., and it mentions Hopwood's not particularly favorite candidate, Maura Sullivan. It says New Hampshire voters headed to the polls today to pick candidates for a congressional seat that is, in this decade, has flipped 4 times between the two major parties, and the same 2 people in the latest test. What is that clicking?
It's my device. It's a sonic device.
Yeah,
Yes.
I can definitely hear it. All of a sudden, I feel like a school teacher. I'm like
a school mom or a school
I'm like
teacher?
yelling at the kid in the front row for making noise.
In your adolescence, when you were wilder and less human, you ate a school mom, didn't you?
Yes, and I would do it again.
Right. And is that how the Red Riding Hood myth? Is it Little Red Riding Hood?
Yeah, Little Red Riding Hood.
Yeah, I can't remember the word for red in French. What is it?
I think it's pronounced in French. It's pronounced red.
Yeah, the red.
If only the People's Mayor Glenn R.J. Willett was here, but he's doing the people's business on Election Day.
Mispronouncing New Hampshire.
New Hampshire. Yes.
All right, go back to this feeble journalism because the WAPO had something similar.
Oh, well, it says here 11 Democrats, including 3 women. Wow, three whole women.
3.
And 6 Republican men are seeking the seat that will open when Democratic U.S. Representative Carol Shea Porter retires in January. Democrats can ill afford to lose the spot as they head into November's election, looking to gain 23 seats needed to take a majority in the House of Representatives and serve as a check on Republican President Donald Trump's agenda. The Democratic frontrunners are former Obama administration official and U.S. Marine Corps veteran Morris Sullivan and Chris Pappas, a member of the state's executive council, according to polls and political analysts.
See how it's written? Because
the mention of Morris Sullivan has triggered you.
Well, see how it's going to be written. Because Chris Pappas was the person, like Joe Levesque said, he's going to be the next congressman. Until this woman shows up with all this money, who wanted to primary Carol Shea Porter, and begins, lying about combat.
Oh my!
I fought in Iraq. She did not fight in Iraq. And so the press doesn't care about stuff that about honor, about honesty. It's got to create this narrative, And so instead of with Pappas, because he is the thing, they bring her up, and there's all sorts of things like Mindy Mesmer, who's a state rep. And
I like her last name.
A progressive. She tried to
get as a hypnotist.
She tried to get Emily's List, which endorsed Sullivan, who has no connection whatsoever to New Hampshire, to hear her out and talk to her. And she actually went down to Washington. They want nothing to do with her. Just like Naomi got in late. Naomi Andrews was CSP's, Carol Shea Porter's person. So you just read this stuff, and it's the same old claptrap that doesn't illuminate anything. It's this narrative. If you work for a corporation, which is a Yeti, they never, you're not covered by discrimination laws. So,
I
as
know.
you found out in Lewiston, Worcester, and all the other places.
Right. That's why we have to take everything we get. You know what I mean? By force.
Oh yeah, and including the school marm. But you were young then.
And she was delicious.
And it was 275 years ago.
Yeah.
Or something.
There's a statute of limitations on devouring a school marm.
In Germany or wherever it was you were frolicking at the time.
It was Germany.
Which gives lie to the thing about you guys coming over the Bering Strait. But,
I never said our story was consistent.
Oh. So, talking about this, and you're in a corporation, they got anybody that's a corporation, now we're going to have the virtuous circle. All these memes, all these posters that are just everywhere. I used to talk to my sisters in the East Coast and the West Coast. They're getting this crap, too. So it's everybody develops little narratives that, we're going to use this. And, it's boring.
Coincidentally, some friends and I in high school had a Christian rock band called Virtuous Circle.
Oh, I thought that did that devolve or evolve out of the Circle Jerks?
Oh, very, very different. Completely different. How dare you? I would say that's how different that is.
I could write this article you're just about to write, because I just read it in the Washington Post.
I'm not about to write it. It's already written.
I mean...
Someone beat us both to it.
There you go.
So who's going to be the nominee? What's your prediction?
Pappas.
Yeah, I think so, probably, too.
I think that Ben and them were wrong, and that the minor candidates are going to get any type of traction. Chris Pappas has won, 3 times in District 4, which is almost as big as a congressional district. It must be half of the congressional district, and that's a well-known name.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And he's currently on the executive council, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So he's a well-known name.
Yeah.
I don't see how you can beat that, but she's got all these ads, and then when she went negative, it's disgusting. We talked about that yesterday. It really is truly disgusting.
Well, in what way did she go negative? I don't remember.
She's put out these ads that he lacks backbone.
Right.
It's shameful.
Fred Bonig from the DailyRipple.org says frolicking with Frorlines. Well, that was boy, those were the days.
Why can't we talk about 9/11?
There's actually a documentary about it. We already talked about 9/11. I don't want to spend the whole show on it.
It's Patriots Day.
Plus, we're going to have some fun soon.
Did you write about
We're going to have some music.
It's Patriots Day forever after. Or at least the Trump's gone. Did you know that? He's declared this Patriot Day.
I thought we already have
That's in Massachusetts.
Oh, that's true. So he's declared this a federal Patriots Day?
Right. He wants to. He wanted to get the faithful out because the Republicans might. Well, they don't get a drubbing right now.
It's very exciting.
I stand up here giving speeches for an hour and a half, many times without notes.
It's true.
Well, I just want to say a couple of things. It was a monumental failure. The FBI is an incompetent bunch of boobs. And
you're very anti-FBI. That's where you and Trump would agree. Oh, hello to Dr. Jeff Cassell, who joins us in the Facebook live chat.
Well, look at how they handled the Chinese nuclear espionage at the Department of Energy in the 1990s. Louis Freeh. Rather than doing something about the espionage, they spent most of their resources going after Chinese-American campaign contributors to the Clinton campaign because Louis Freeh hated Bill Clinton. And, you know, that was a monumental failure. We lost all our most modern weapons designs. But it's so strange that that's not even talked about because China wound up with the ability to have miniaturized nuclear warheads, which means they have MIRVs, so their missiles can launch a significantly greater payload against the United States. But we don't talk about the Chinese and their ability to incinerate the United States. We talk about Korea, their vassal state. It's all a bunch of crap. But I just wanted to say, after the stand down, the FAA, after it went out, the Canadians grounded flights in Toronto, once again Toronto, that were going to go to the West Coast. And they found, after everybody's up, box cutters on 2 planes. Because what's right next to Toronto? Chicago. And you have those 2 massive skyscrapers that are 100 stories, Sears and the
Sears
Hancock
Tower,
building.
yeah.
So, and there was also, it's well known now, that they tried to attack our assets in Texas. We have intelligence access there, and they were stopped. And they tried to attack the NSA, which is at Fort Meade. It was a much wider things were going on.
Yeah.
And they did manage to interdict some of it, or we'll never know. But
right.
Jesus, what an intelligence failure, though. But the FBI is an incompetent bunch of boobs.
Fred says, except China has more to lose than to gain picking a fight with the U.S.
And what did...
And we have a lot to lose, too.
Yeah, ask Fred what Mao said about nuclear warfare.
Fred can hear you.
Well, ask him, what did... okay, Fred, what did Mao say? Was it Kosygin? Who did he say to? I don't think it was Khrushchev, about nuclear war. That nuclear war wouldn't be such a bad thing because 300 million Chinese would survive, and then they'd start over civilization.
Who said that? Mao said
Mao
that?
Zedong.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Why would you? Yeah, that was part of what was known back in the old days. Because the Chinese got the bomb in 1965. And William F. Buckley said we should go to war and destroy China over it.
Jeepers.
No, he was kind of belligerent. Ex-CIA hand.
Well, it's the top of the hour. Fred just sent me a song that he suggested, and so we'll. It's not naughty. It has to be suitable for FM radio. No, it's a Tom Paxton song called "The Bravest." Paxton. Oh, excuse me. I'm still getting over this cold. I haven't heard it, but I do trust Fred's judgment because he always sends me great stuff. So we're going to do that. Kevin Schurman is about to enter the studio. So when we come back. We will introduce him, and perhaps we'll check out some new music from his band. But in the meantime, here it is. So this is The Bravest by Mr. Tom Paxton. You're listening to Matt Connarton Unleashed in the afternoon on WMNH 95.3 FM. Here we go. Oh, if it'll play. And I don't hear anything. There we go.
The first plane hit the other tower right after I came in. It left a fiery gaping hole where offices had been. We stood and watched in horror as we saw the first ones fall. Then someone yelled, "Get out, get out, they're trying to kill us all." I grabbed the pictures from my desk and joined the Flight for Life. With every step I called the names of my children and my wife. And then we heard them coming up from several floors below. A crowd of firefighters with their heavy gear in tow. Now every time I try to sleep, I'm haunted by the sound of firemen pounding up the stairs while we were running down. And when we met them on the stairs, they said we were too slow. "Get out, get out," they yelled at us, "the whole thing's going to go." They didn't have to tell us twice, we'd seen the world on fire. We kept on running down the stairs while they kept climbing higher. Now every time I try to sleep, I'm haunted by the sound a fireman pounding up the stairs while we were running down. Thank God we made it to the street. We ran through ash and smoke. I didn't know which way to run. I thought that I would choke. A fireman took me by the arm and pointed me uptown. Then Christ, I heard him whisper as the tower came rolling down. So now I go to funerals for men I never knew. The pipers play Amazing Grace as the coffins come in view. They must have seen it coming as they turned to face the fire. They sent us down to safety, then they kept on climbing high. Now every time I try to sleep, I'm haunted by the sound of firemen pounding up the stairs while we were running down. A fireman pounding up the stairs while we were running down.
Welcome back, everybody. It's hour number 2. Matt Connarton, Unleashed in the Afternoon. We are live on WMNH 95.3 FM, emanating from downtown Manchester, New Hampshire, streaming at WMNHradio.org, on Comcast Channel 97 in Manchester, and, of course, on Facebook via the old Facebook Live. So you can communicate that way, too. And, of course, you can give us a call, 603-250-6007. Thank you again to A.J. Davis for calling in earlier. That was a lot of fun from Common Sense Radio. John Hopwood is still here, although he's toiling with his iPhone. And we are joined now by Kevin Schurman from the January Project. How are you, sir?
I'm well, and you?
Very well. This is the first time you've been here with me on the show.
It is. I like it. I like it a lot.
Did you have to use the code to get in the building, or was
there
it still
was
unlocked?
a nice lady in front of me that used the code.
Oh, very good.
And then let me in to go on my rampage.
Yes.
So it's a tricky door, though. I couldn't find it. I was standing outside Margarita's, like a stalker on my phone, trying to find it.
Well, you found it.
I'm here.
You're here. What is the January Project?
January Project.
Because someone didn't know, they might think it was like some initiative, like some or some government project or something.
Like a project.
Yeah.
It is kind of.
Well, it is a project.
Yeah. It's like a government. Like a government project, only far more important.
Yes.
It's Jeremy and I, who was in my last band and has been my lifelong friend, collaborated to kind of start doing a studio album. There's some various other artists on it that are from New Hampshire, and Mike, my friend Mike, is producing it. Michael, and it's very different from from what I've done before.
Oh, yes. No, I mentioned earlier, I hope you didn't mind me mentioning Minus Chad, which is the band when I first met you.
Yeah.
So this is so Jeremy from Minus Chad, of course. He's you guys are like a team.
We're life partners. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. Wow, that's exciting. You know, we don't make any judgments here on the program, Kevin. You know, everyone's into whatever they're into.
Yeah. No, we met each other in 4th grade, and we've been stuck together as really shitty people.
I gotta dump that. Yeah,
sorry.
It's all right. I got it. But yeah, I can't. We're on the FM terrestrial radio. Plus, John Hopwood has very sensitive ears.
I'm sorry.
These things are like disgusting. It's like somebody's thrown up into them.
Yeah, he's also very picky about the mics.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry for cursing.
No, it's okay. I hit the dump button. Okay, you gotta pick a spot, dude, because I keep having to ride these faders. He's like the Energizer Bunny. He's very excited. I don't know if you got that from listening to the show on the way down. He's very excitable, this one.
Yeah. Well,
Warren Zevon. I'm the original excitable boy.
Yes.
As you can see, I'm very excitable myself.
Yeah, you're a house of fire.
Yeah, I am.
Yes, yes. No, I think that's why we get along. We're both pretty laid back dudes, you
Yeah.
know. I mean, sometimes on the show I get a little worked up, but generally I'm pretty laid back.
I
You know.
can't get worked up
Yeah.
anymore. I just don't have it. And
Sometimes it's better not to.
we live in an age where every click of a button and there's something to get worked up about. So
Yeah. Well, we were talking about that earlier on the show too. I don't know if you heard that part when we were talking with AJ Davis about the outrage culture that we live in.
oh, absolutely, it's insane, and you know.
It's outrageous.
It is. It's outrageous. Everybody's upset about something.
Yes. Well, why don't we? So you brought a CD in,
Yeah.
and why don't we play a song? Tell us what you want to play. I've got it loaded up and ready to go. Whatever track you want to. You want us to open with? And
I guess we can open with number one.
Number one,
which is a song called "Start Where You Began."
Okay. Anything you want us to know about it before?
Well, it's part of a project that we're working on that kind of touches on a little bit about our society as far as the corruption and the it documents this person's life that has fallen from grace and gone to the dark side of the political and religious world.
Is this This isn't about anyone specific, is it?
No, it's a made-up character.
I was just asking.
I know all about flipping. For 30, 40 years, I've been watching flippers. It almost ought to be outlawed.
I was just making sure. I didn't know if you were. It just sounded familiar what you were describing.
I mean, it's not. I'm not going to deny it.
Right.
I can tell you that it is the best, absolute best CD that you'll hear all year.
Oh, okay. Well, very good. Well, let's take a listen. So this is what is this called again?
Start Where You Began.
Start Where You Began by the January Project. Here we go. Hopefully this will play. Here we go.
It ebbs and flows.
Well, that's nice. This is the January project. What's the name of the song again, Kevin?
Start Where You Began.
Start Where You Began, yeah. And that's, we were kind of talking a little bit while I was playing. You played everything on that yourself?
Yeah, that one, and I did. All the rest of them are Jeremy's a part of, but I just started brainstorming one day, and that's what came out.
Yeah. How many tracks are on the album?
Right now, we have 6, which is an hour and something.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We'll start the second CD from that.
Right.
Probably this Sunday, actually.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to record this one?
This has been this song or the 6?
The 6.
This is probably 2 years worth of work.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
No kidding.
It's been a lot, and in the other songs that you'll hear, you'll be able to tell there's a lot more layers and a lot of mistakes.
Yeah. Really? What? You left them in?
No. That's why it took so long.
Oh, okay.
Continue
Gotcha.
to redo and redo and redo.
Yeah. Understood. So you're starting the next one now. Is the next one? Are you expecting the next one to take 2 years? Or are you?
It could.
Yeah.
Could. There's not really a timeline on this because we really have no fans, and we really
that's not true.
We have no record label or anything. So
how can you say you have no fans? You've got Nicey in the Facebook live chat right now.
That is true. Nicey is the #1 fan, and if anything ever were to come of music, then he'd be right on the coattails, I'm sure.
There you go. Now, John Hopwood probably has not been previously aware of you, but he hasn't purchased since 1991, right? Right. When was the last time you...
I purchased Madonna. What was that?
The Immaculate Collection, I think you said?
No, something... I don't know.
Well,
and the U2, the one from Germany.
Yes. Zuropa or something? Or
Zentropo? Is that it?
I don't think it was
that a movie?
I think that's... I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that was a movie.
Yes. Sometimes I don't know what he's talking about, Kevin.
That's okay. I usually don't know what anybody's talking about.
So if it's after 1991, I don't know.
Yeah.
Or much before either.
Right. Oh my goodness. So you said there's going to be 3 albums total?
Yeah, 3 that I have in mind, songs that I have in mind for it.
So is it a concept running throughout the 3, or do they each kind of have their own concept? Or?
No, it is a concept running throughout the 3. The first songs kind of it kind of works backwards. So the first songs kind of take place as an older person and kind of looking at the mortality and regret and everything that comes with kind of almost dying, and then the next one will be kind of more centered around political corrupt, how did you get to that point of remorse, and then the first one will kind of be a little bit lighter of a song because you're a kid at that point.
Yeah. So what inspired you to kind of go this path as opposed to, say, just writing a bunch of songs that don't necessarily have any connection, and what made you decide to embark on a project like this?
Well, I was becoming really stagnant with my writing, and I did some thinking about it, and I decided it was because I didn't really have any turmoil in my life anymore to write about.
Yeah.
The teen angst was gone, and I was basically just dead inside.
Oh.
Like we all are, a hamster on the wheel, getting, and I just didn't have anything to write about. So I started thinking about, people that I could write about. And then I said, perhaps I'll just make someone up to write about. And
right.
Make up their life story. And it kind of sparked the creativity I was missing.
Right. So this is an anonymous person. They don't have a name or anything.
Right. Anonymous.
Completely anonymous. Yes.
An anonymous, really an anonymous, gutless coward.
So, well, no, I think that's a great thing to write about.
It is, and the best thing is about it is that I never run out of ideas because I'm just making them up.
Right? Yes, just making them up. Yes,
Yep.
that's
we go.
Oh, let me turn your mic back on, John. Say that again.
A writer never makes anything just up. It must be part of you that you're, drawing on.
Oh well, the darkness for sure,
Yeah.
and the misery and that you can hear in the music, and just I guess I put some of my frustrations about our current state in there as well. So yeah, there's some draw from within.
Yeah. Does your now do your kids, are they musical at all? Do they show any inclination to?
They're interested in music. They love listening to music. None of them have the attention span to really sit down with an instrument yet, and if they did, I'm sure it would be destroyed promptly.
They're all pretty young, right?
Yes, 7 and under.
Oh wow, yeah.
So my house is like the Florence right now.
Yes. Well, don't worry about Hurricane Florence. I don't know if you were listening earlier.
I was.
But,
I heard that we have a blanket of protection.
Yes, I believe Reverend Robertson said a shield of protection.
Yes, that's it. Shield.
And,
shield sounds much safer than
Is that
a
like a
blanket.
deodorant?
No.
Roll on or something?
No, it's better than that.
It is.
It's better because it'll protect us not simply from body odor, but from the hurricane.
How come there's never a himicane?
It is very sexist. I think there should be a person cane. Why don't we call them person cane?
There you go. Because why do you think this or never
This
this is part of our shtick.
Yes.
Yeah, the you could call it a non-binary.
Non-binary. That's the word I wanted.
There you
but for
go.
some reason, I'm looking at Matt and thinking of the bisexual. Because Yetis.
I don't know why he would look at me.
You know,
and think I'm bisexual.
Yetis and all that.
Yes. Do you have any songs about Yetis? Because you look like you could be a fellow Yeti American. You're
absolutely.
You're
yes.
also quite airy.
Yeah.
Not to out you on the air, but
no, I'm actually, for people not watching, I am just hair.
Yes.
Like Cousin It.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I am. I'm a fellow.
Yes. Do you feel that does that inform your art?
Absolutely. There will be a song with the word Yeti in it, at least.
Excellent.
I'll make sure I
look forward to that because I feel that we need an anthem, I guess is what I'm getting at. Not to put you on the spot, but
well, perhaps I'll write you an anthem with Yeti for the show.
That would be wonderful.
Just an intro.
Because you have no idea the abuse I take.
Yeah.
Make sure
not physically, but
a lot of grunting and the sounds of like scratching and flies and the stuff we have to put up with.
Yeah, I can handle that. Sounds like just my normal nightly ritual, really.
Oh, well, yes. Well, as I can relate.
And if you could think in the goodness of your heart to come up with a song for Glenn R.J. Ouellette, the People's Mayor.
Oh,
we'd
absolutely.
all appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you're familiar with, although you should be. Everyone should know
Golden
him.
Throat himself.
Yes, he's an amazing. He'd be a good person to have maybe for some guest vocals if you ever need any.
Yeah.
Glenn R.J. Ouellette, the People's Mayor, truly is a golden throat.
Well, yeah, I heard that he's got the pipes, and he's good with the follow through too.
Fred in the Fred Bonig from the dailyripple.org says, "I'm going to take a knee if you play it. Just saying." I assume he means the Yeti anthem that you'll be composing and recording.
Yeah, well, I mean, we live in America. I guess you can do that, but
although I will be kind of if Fred takes a knee while the Yeti anthem is playing, I will be outraged and offended.
It's outrageous.
It is outrageous.
I think you're a little bit behind the times, but yet Amiskig isn't official yet, is it, Matt?
Isn't officially what?
It isn't official. Amiskig, that you're the suzerain of.
Right. We're going to be, the West Side is going to be seceding from Manchester eventually.
I thought the entire United States.
Well, perhaps. One step at a time.
The entire continent.
But I will be the master and ruler of Amiskig, or suzerain, as suzerain. And we're going to have our own arsenal of nuclear weapons. It's going to be wonderful.
I think that's great.
Thank you. Yes, it's very exciting.
A whole trilogy.
What about tariffs? Are you going to
tariffs?
Yeah.
We're going to put tariffs on absolutely everything.
Good.
And we're going to do it for the workers of Amiskig. And I can promise you this: it will have no ill effects on our own economy whatsoever.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's going to be great because I know what I'm doing.
Yeah,
with
well, I was
tariffs,
worried about that, but if you say it's fine,
I know what I'm doing. Yeah,
I'm with you.
Yes, and he encourages me. He thinks the tariffs are wonderful.
I do.
Yes.
A tariff on music, though, but for insiders like yourself, the Suzerain himself will go gentle.
Yes, you'll get an exemption.
Put a paw on your shoulder.
Yes,
and, everything's fine.
Would that make me an Muskegon politician then? If I have a little like a VIP card?
Oh, I hadn't even thought that far ahead, which is terrible. I should think that far ahead.
Yeah.
Fred says, well, when they stop shooting unarmed Sasquatches, he'll stop kneeling.
Man, that's a derogatory phrase, Sasquatch.
Yeah. I cannot get behind that, Fred. We get Yetis are white. Fred, I can't even believe you said that in the Facebook live chat. How dare you, sir? This is getting terribly uncomfortable for me. And for Kevin, no doubt, being a Yeti. What he's saying here is it's highly offensive.
Two T's or not two T's?
Well, we can't even. I don't even want to. Well, he spelled it with one, of course, in the Facebook live chat. And I'm not surprised, quite frankly. So, where are you recording, Kevin?
I have a studio set up at my house, so I'm recording my house.
Very good. I've been asked by a listener, Jay Caden, are you coloring your facial hair? Miss you. No. I don't color my facial hair. How dare you? Why is everyone piling on? Oh, hello to Jay Caden John Thompson is in the Facebook live chat, who I think is also Jay Caden under a pseudonym. He's saying, "Are you ignoring your text messages?" No, I just I feel as though I'm being attacked for my Yeti heritage and facial hair.
The Crimson, we can finally reveal, he's the person that's responsible for the squirrel holocaust that's going on.
Oh.
Flying squirrels weren't enough for him. And, of course, they're out of season.
So now, just genocide for the squirrels.
Pretty much, yeah.
I don't think squirrels risen to that level, But,
Yeah. But, well, they try. Good for them. Let's see. Oh, Fred just put something in the Facebook live chat. So who is producing this? You have a producer?
Yeah, Michael is our producer. I always struggle saying his last name because it's hard to say, but it's Palizio,
Potato.
It starts with a P.
Yes.
But, yeah, he does a great job. He's very creative too, and he is into. He makes a lot of digital music, a lot of beats and things like that. So he brings an interesting perspective to what we're doing, which is always nice to have somebody that's outside of your little comfort box be able to give you some ideas or criticism. So
Fred says, seems pretty obvious while I'll be kneeling. Wow, this is just getting this is just getting a little it's getting a little much, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's getting a little risque.
Yes, that's all. Anything risque. I mean, that's for the other program that I do, which you might be aware of, Matt Connarton Unsheathed. That is not. We don't do that here at WMNH. That is available only on the dark web, and I'm legally prohibited from telling you how to find it.
So you do that ominously then?
Yeah, and in this case, ominous meaning about 3 a.m.
Yeah, ominously. Anonymously.
Oh, you mean anonymously?
Oh,
yeah.
No, I thought it was ominously.
Oh. An anonymous, really an anonymous, gutless coward.
Did you hear what the president just said about me?
Yeah.
How dare he?
That's what he's been talking about.
I'm an anonymous, gutless coward. How dare he?
Well,
How dare he? I'll show him. No, I don't want to say that. I'll get in trouble with the Secret Service.
There'll be somebody at your door in 10 minutes.
That's right. That would be very upsetting. And that door is unlocked.
I noticed.
The Secret Service can just walk right in. And now, are you? So, how did you meet your producer, Michael Pavalakadok?
Pavalakadingi.
Oh, yes.
No, he actually is my wife's cousin.
Oh, okay.
And, I met him that way. And so it's kind of, close family, close friends.
Yes, yes. So that's a nice way of saying nepotism.
It's nepotism.
Yes.
100%. Which is the only way I roll, really.
Well, who else can you trust?
That's right. And
Yes.
Who else will screw you over? It goes both ways.
That's true. I mean, family will screw. Billy Joel? What was it? His I think it was a relative of his wife, right? His wife's brother or something who screwed him on his accounting.
Well, Dane Cook, he had the same thing happen, didn't he? His brother stole from him.
Oh, really? Was it his brother?
I don't know, brother-in-law.
Dane Cook kind of deserves it, though, don't you think?
Yeah. He I don't know, he was too arrogant, I guess.
Yes.
The mighty had fallen.
John Thompson in the Facebook live chat is asking for a close-up of me. I don't usually do the close-up shot, but there it is, because I don't like the way I look on webcam. But there you go, John. Sometimes the people demand it is what happens,
You
Kevin.
got to give them what they want.
The people demand it.
Yeah.
And,
you got to keep the fans happy. And
exactly.
If looking at eye candy is what they want,
right,
that's what you need to do.
So often, folks will say to me, why do you do a radio show? You should be on the big screen.
I wondered
so we
that
can
myself.
Admire you in all your glory.
Your chiseled good looks. And,
yes. My chiseled. You should see my. I have a 16-pack.
Yeah, I do too. I'm actually working on a 30.
Yes. Well, that's exciting.
It's going to be great.
Well, we should play another track from your. What's the album called again?
It doesn't have a name yet. The album.
Oh, right.
So it's yet to be.
We could name it here. We could name it Song for Yetis or something. But you might want to think on that.
How about Yeti?
How about
Yeti? We'll name the album Yeti.
With 1 T or 2.
Well, 2.
Oh, thank goodness. I thought you were going to say 1, and then I would know that you weren't really one of us.
No.
All right. What would you like to play next from it?
Well, track 3.
Track 3?
It's a song called La Scoperta della Morta.
Yeah, I'm not going to try to say that because I can't.
It means the discovery of death.
That I can say, the discovery of death. This sounds like a little maudlin. This track.
It's a little.
All right,
just a touch.
All right, so we're gonna get very sad. Probably just as well that John Hopwood left the room.
Yeah,
because we don't want John Hopwood sad is not pleasant.
All right, well that's good. He's hopefully in the restroom or something.
Yes. All right, so here it is, and this is brand new stuff. Is this a world premiere, by the way? This has not been on the radio before today, has it?
No, it hasn't, no.
All right, excellent. So we like the world premieres, and this is brand new from the January project. Kevin Schurman is here with us talking about it, and let's listen to another track. Oh, where'd it go? Started playing. There we go.
Song by the river's edge, waiting for the sun to set. What's a man to do when he's all alone, waiting for his blood to run cold, sitting on the edge of my gravestone now, for the wrong train into town. What's a man to do when he's all alone, waiting for his blood to run cold? Put me in the ground and then wait for thoughts that you must confess. Can't cash out 'cause you're already in. You're the 12th stone in the cotton gin. I wonder if the inside will be full of light, even as you drain out
cut you like a knife, cut you like a knife. Waiting at the back till the bottom drops out. Crossing that bridge, baby, full of doubt. What's a man to do when he's all alone? Waiting for his blood to run cold. Put me in the ground and now wait for thoughts that you must confess. Can't cash out 'cause you already another 12 stone in the cotton gin. Wonder if the inside will be full of light, even as you drain out all the memories. Cut you like a knife, cut you like a finally at the end of the old dirt drive. People fade out as they say goodnight. What's a man to do when he's all alone? Waiting for his blood to run cold. Put me in the ground now. Wait for thoughts that you must confess. Can't cash out 'cause you already another 12 stones in the cotton gin. Wonder if the inside will be full of light, even as you drain out all the memories. Cut you like a knife, cut you like a knife. This song of ours, long before the sun set. What's a man to do when he's all alone? Waiting for his blood to run cold.
Very nice. That is the January Project. Kevin Schurman from the January Project is here in the studio with me on Matt Connarton Unleashed in the Afternoon. We are live on WMNH 95.3 FM. If you'd like to call in, we do have a little bit of time left, 603-250-6007. If maybe you have a question or a comment or anything for Kevin, 603-250-6007. You're getting some love in the Facebook live chat. Our old friend Nicey is in there, says, great tune. I agree. The Discovery of Death was the translation. Or what was the actual title?
La Scoperta della Morte.
La Scoperta della Morte?
Yes.
Did I get that right?
You did.
Wow. I'm concerned I sound too Anglo.
Unless, I got it wrong, and then we're both wrong. But no, don't worry about the Anglo, because you can't get much more Anglo than me.
Wow, that's a big relief.
Than I.
Right, yes. And I was telling you while I was playing, too, I love the harmonies in that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you and Jeremy sound great.
Yeah, we have to do about 4 million takes and a lot of compression, but we
Really?
piece it together.
Do you do a lot of takes?
We do.
Yeah.
Not. It's not like the old days when we'd go into the studio and record what we had been playing for countless live shows and then just record it.
Yeah.
It's something that I come up with an idea and then we work on it, we talk about it, and sometimes we'll get the whole song recorded and then decide that it's not the right feel or vibe and throw it away and do it all over again.
How many songs have you written, do you think?
Oh, God.
Everyone always hates this question.
A lot.
If you had to put a number on it, like hundreds?
Hundreds, in the hundreds.
Yeah.
Probably the higher hundreds. I mean,
wow.
I've thrown away a lot of material.
Yeah.
That's just part of the process. You got to write a bunch of bad songs.
Right.
It didn't come all the way out.
Oh, I wasn't. John
sorry.
Hopwood is leaving us. Well, it's a good thing it didn't, because he has very sensitive ears. As
I know, and it's
very sensitive.
I think it's him that brings it out in me. There's just a need to use profanity.
It's that orange shirt that he has.
It is. It makes me very angry.
Yes.
It's a trigger color for me.
It's enraging for me as well. And my father's, and this is true, my father's favorite color is orange.
Oh, well.
So you can imagine how enraged I was in my youth, and still to this day, clearly. I'm a volcano.
Yeah, I can tell.
You never know when I'm going to erupt.
Seeping and boiling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very often, there's various guests who come on the show who, I follow up with them. I invite them to come back, and they say, you're too volcanic, Matt. And then I say, oh, I'm sorry, did I seem like I was angry? I don't remember being angry. And they tell me, no, there's just something, you seem as though you're literally about to spew lava.
Yeah.
And I say, well, you mean that literally? And they say, yes. And molten lava is very hot. It's very dangerous. And I said, are you serious right now? And they say, absolutely. That is how volcanic you are.
Yeah. And it would kill you.
Yes, it would. Hello to Ed Murphy, who joins us in the Facebook live chat. If not kill you, certainly burn you very, very badly.
Yeah, it wouldn't be pleasant.
You'd be so badly burned, you would wish for death.
Right.
And then someone could play your song, The Discovery of Death, while they pass away.
It's a great song to die to, I think.
Yes.
I haven't died, obviously.
Right. I haven't either. I've never been murdered or anything. I've been really lucky.
Me too. So, spiritually, but
Oh well, of course. Well, we all have. Just waking up every day is it's like a spiritual death of sorts. It's
it really is.
Yeah. It's nice to do a show like this, and be able to really bring people up and bring up their spirits.
I'm all about uplifting
people.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, especially on an election day.
Right, it is an election day.
Yeah, so
I heard you cast some votes and you won. You won for these people.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say, and again, some will say I'm projecting. Some might even consider it a precognition of sorts, although I am not psychic. At least I don't believe I am. But I do think it's fair to say that anyone whom I've talked about or interviewed on the show, they get the Matt Connarton Unleashed bump, and they then are propelled to victory. And they have me to thank. I'm trying to be gracious about it, but let's be honest. They have me to thank.
I should thank you right now for the inevitable stardom that will come from the show.
You probably should.
Yeah.
And I would say to you, you're welcome in advance for your multi-platinum success.
Yeah.
And I hope you'll keep that in mind at the stadium.
Oh, absolutely.
Because that's what happens. A lot of people don't know this, but back when I originally started this program as a podcast before bringing it here to FM radio, and one of my early guests on the podcast, Lady Gaga, I interviewed her on the podcast, and the next day she sold 15 million copies of her album, and that's a fact You can find it on Wikipedia if you don't believe me. And if you go to Wikipedia and it's not there, it's only because someone has deleted it out of malice.
Yeah, it is. I remember when Lady was in here, and it was great.
Yeah, well, she wasn't in here. She was at my old studio.
Right.
You know, it's just basically me and a microphone and a laptop and Lady Gaga.
And Lady, yeah, and there she was. And now she's singing with Tony Bennett. She's
yes,
she's made it.
And I told her that night, I said, congratulations in advance, and please remember that you owe it all to me. And she is an ungrateful wench.
Yeah, she really is.
I mean,
she'll get hers, though. Karma comes around.
Oh, I believe that.
Really
I believe that, yes. And we should be clear that we're in no way threatening Lady Gaga, nor would we ever. But
no.
But her lack of gratitude has not gone unnoticed.
Yeah, it's outrageous.
We'll say that. It makes me feel volcanic.
It actually boils some of that molten in myself.
Yes, as it should, frankly. You know, attitude of gratitude, that's what I say.
That's a great saying.
Thank you. I actually am the original one to say that.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that, but I said that first on my podcast back in 2011. And then next thing I know, I'm seeing it everywhere. I'm seeing it on greeting cards, on calendars. It's
You got Al Gore, is what you got.
I did.
You got Al Gore hard.
Yes, I did. Not everyone will know that reference, but of course you're referring to Al Gore's invention of the internet.
Yes, I am. I'm sorry for the people who weren't alive then.
What a lot of people don't realize is that I actually invented the internet in 2011 on my while doing my podcast. And some would say, Matt, how is that possible? That doesn't make sense time-wise. And my response to those people when they say that to me is, hey, why don't you just shut the hell up?
That's a great response.
Thank you. I think it carries the argument.
Well, I mean, the leader of the free world uses it, so it's got to be good enough for you.
Yes, he does. Who's the leader? By leader of the free world, who do you mean?
Oh, Kim Jong-un.
Everyone says it wrong. It's Kim Jong-un.
Kim Jong-un.
I only know that because I did get to meet him recently. That matitude is outrageous, Nicey said in the Facebook live chat. I don't know if you know about this, but and not to brag and name drop and whatnot, but my close personal friend, Dennis Rodman, did bring me to North Korea to meet with Kim Jong-un. And Kim told me that, I'm like the one person who says his name correctly. Well, the one person in the United States who says his name correctly.
Yeah, you and Rodman, really, right?
Yes, we're the only ones.
Other people also. There's a lot of people out there.
It's really just us. It's Dennis Rodman and I.
Oh.
We say his name correctly.
Well, that's good. I mean, I from somebody with a last name that gets mispronounced a lot, I can understand.
Your last name gets mispronounced a lot?
It does,
really?
Because of the C in it.
Oh, so what? People say Schurman?
Schurman.
Oh.
Yeah. A lot of so Kim and I, we share the same turmoil.
You're like kindred spirits,
yes.
Really. You can relate to Kim Jong-un, I think is what you're trying to tell us here today.
Well, yeah, and I'm a dictator at my own house, so
right.
We share that too.
Do you have an arsenal of nuclear weapons?
I have 3 children.
Okay. Well,
which are, probably more...
Quite destructive?
Yeah, more destructive than 3 nuclear weapons, I would say.
Oh, okay. Well, that all makes sense. Well, let's see. How much... Oh, yeah, we got a couple minutes left. I want to make sure we leave enough room for one more song. But what should people know, Kevin, as far as going online and finding your music? Obviously, you've got the Facebook page for the January Project.
Yes.
So we'll encourage people to like that.
And then we have all of our songs on our YouTube page, which is, I think it's the January Project. If you just search for it, it should come up.
Yeah.
Because believe it or not, there's a lot of people that have done actual projects in January, so you might have to sort through some, but
yeah.
Just click on the one with the least views and listens, and you should be able to find it no problem.
That won't work after today.
Yeah, well,
after today, it'll have the most views and listens.
That's right. Well, hey, I won't leave you in the lurch like Gaga did.
Yeah, thank you.
I promise.
Well, I appreciate that. After today, it won't be the January Project. It'll be the January Project, if you know what I mean. It'll be like the January Project almost, but that would be redundant. You wouldn't want to actually go around saying that. That'd be weird.
I'm just trying to think about how I'm going to spend all the newfound money.
Right. Well, you can give some of it to me.
Yeah, well, I'll fund you.
Sure. I might run for office if there's enough money.
Well, I think you should.
I think I will. I am going to be the suzerain of Amiskig.
That's
which
true.
Will be very exciting.
And you'll need funding for that.
I will. I'm going to need to. We're going to have a giant owl that's going to require a lot of money to build. It's going to be this giant gold-plated owl in the town square, which will be somewhere wherever I decide. And every day at 5 p.m., everyone in Amiskig will be not required, but strongly encouraged to go to the owl, at which time the owl will give whatever my latest command or directive is.
I love that idea.
Isn't that a great idea?
It's great. It makes you're almost like Oz.
But better.
Right. Well, you're an owl.
Right.
People will think you're an owl.
I won't be an owl.
No.
People will know I'm not an owl. But they'll know that the owl speaks for me.
You.
I speak through the owl. It'll be gold or maybe platinum.
I like platinum.
A platinum owl. And then all my supporters, because everyone will love me. Everyone will love me. They can wear like little platinum owl chains.
I think that's great, and they'll say things like, when you come up with Space Force 2.
Ooh,
yes. They'll say things like, Trump doesn't tell us what's really going on there, but Space Force 2, Connarton does it his own way.
I wasn't even thinking that far ahead. That's brilliant. I love it.
Well, I should definitely be in your cabinet then.
Yeah, I'm going to need help figuring out what the uniforms should look like.
Well, feathers at least.
I was actually thinking like Star Trek II Wrath of Khan era uniforms.
Oh, that would be good too.
For Starfleet, not the Klingons.
Yeah.
Be clear about that.
Well,
and certainly not Khan.
No.
Well, let's Well, Kevin, this has been great. Kevin Schurman from the January Project. Is so nice to see you, my friend.
Nice to see you as well.
And let's play one more song to wrap up. What do you want to play?
Number 5, and that is called Castle. And
it's called what?
Castle.
Castle?
Yeah, it's Castle, but I pronounce it Castle.
Oh, you're like a contrarian or something. Yes. All right, so we will wrap up with that from the January Project. And I'll just remind everybody, too, if you missed any part of today's show, it'll be up in just a little bit at WMNHradio.org. Kevin, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you to John Hopwood for being here earlier. And thank you to A.J. Davis from Common Sense Radio for calling in. That was a great conversation with him. And if you're in the Manchester area, there is still time to get out and vote. Polls close at 7 p.m., I believe. All right, I'll talk at y'all a little bit later. Bye, everybody.
Walking down the straight line, watching the hours tick on. Hands are spinning forward, move us along. Thinking through the shadows, watching the lights start to dim. If you judge the sinners, don't judge the sin. And I feel like it all falls apart at the seams. Even as the daylight keeps fading away, I wanna know where does it all disappear? The dust is on the gray stones, moving much closer. Your name building in an idea, it's all the same. Peeking out the window, spider and glass of your soul. Once they pull you in, dear, you'll never be whole. And it feels like it all falls apart at the seams. Even as the daylight keeps fading away, I wanna know where
1000 Elm Street. Our studios are located at 1045 Elm Street and licensed to Manchester Public Television Service in Manchester, New Hampshire, U.S.